Happy Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome into Morning JOX. Conrad, Van Order, and Damian Mitchell here with you until 7 o'clock. Catching you up on everything you might have missed overnight in the world of sports and starting to turn our attention a little bit to the upcoming weekend of college football because, of course, we have another great slate coming up this weekend around the SEC and really just around the entire country. And as we've learned, right, every week at this point, something crazy is going to happen. So we will see what this week holds for us and what kind of upsets that we have to look forward to. But before we do that, we have to take a look back at last night because last night was really a jam-packed sports night as you had a doubleheader in Monday Night Football and you had the final game of the American League Championship Series between the Mariners and the Blue Jays, as we now know who's going to play in the World Series. So it was a big night last night, especially if you're a Seattle fan, because you had both the Mariners and Seahawks in action. And one of my good friends is from the Seattle area. And we'll get into it. But yeah, yesterday he had built up a lot of hype in his head and feel for him a little bit this morning. But
It started off good.
It did start off good. Unfortunately, games are not measured by how well they start. Otherwise, Auburn's record would be much better than what it is right now.
Wow.
We'll get into that too.
We're 2 minutes in, brother.
We'll get into that too. You set me up for that one.
God.
You set me up for that one. All right, let's get into it. What happened last night in the NFL? First off, as again, you had a doubleheader for Monday Night Football, and especially the first matchup on paper. Very, very excited for this one as you had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling up to Detroit to take on the Lions in a matchup of two of the best teams in the NFL right now. And it didn't quite live up to that hype because it was pretty much all Detroit all afternoon long as they took care of the Buccaneers 24-9 last night. So you had some unfortunate, the Bucs have been dealing with injuries. Their wide receiver room is really, really talented, but Chris Godwin was down early in the year, and then Emeka Egbuka shows up, and he's kind of taking the world by storm. Now he's a little banged up, but he was going to give it a go last night. Mike Evans has been banged up. He was giving it a go last night. Chris Godwin not available for them, and so it's just kind of been a rotating door for them at the skill position this year in terms of who's available and who's not. And unfortunately for them, they now lose Mike Evans for most likely the remainder of the season with a broken clavicle last night. But the passing game just wasn't really working very well for the Bucs last night. So Baker, he only goes for 228 and a touchdown, also had an interception. That was just an incredible play by the Lions DB who just ripped the ball away from Cade Otton, the Bucs tight end there. But what about Jahmyr Gibbs, man? You cannot say enough about what the former Georgia Tech and Alabama running back has done since being taken. I mean, I remember when he was taken 12th overall in the draft a couple years ago, and a lot of people went, man, seems like a really early pick to go and get a guy like that that's, he's not an every down running back. He's kind of smaller. Like, you're going to have to use him out of the backfield. And, you got this guy named David Montgomery. Like, he's a pretty good running back. Like, are you sure this is a good idea? Yeah, it was a really, really good idea. And last night was a great example of why. So Jahmyr Gibbs, he had 20 total touches last night, 212 yards of offense. He had 136 rushing and 82 receiving yards, 2 rushing touchdowns on the night. So he was absolutely the focal point of the offense last night for the Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he had 6 catches, 86 yards, and a touchdown as well. Jared Goff, 240 through the air, 1 touchdown, 1 interception for him. But the Lions, man, defensively, every time it felt like they needed to stop, every time it felt like the Buccaneers were driving down the field, going to make the game interesting, especially late. Lions defense came up big, and you got to give them big-time credit for that, especially when, Baker Mayfield, if you look at the odds going into the game last night, there's only one person ahead of him in the MVP odds right now, and it's Patrick Mahomes, who we're all real up-and-comer in the league from what I understand. So, great job by the Lions last night. Great win for them. They now 5-2 on the season. The Bucs with the loss, they're also at 5-2. But the Lions marching on, and after that opening season loss and maybe some concerns of, you had a lot of changes on the coaching staff. Are they going to be able to maintain what they've been able to do the last couple of years? And Lions looking pretty good yet again.
Yeah, and then you got to think about it. Their secondary was completely depleted last night. and they were giving Baker Mayfield everything and then some. Like, Baker struggled. And it kind of – I think the injuries are starting to mount up for Tampa Bay. Of course, when Mike Evans goes down, Emeka Ibuka has been battling with some hamstring issues the past couple weeks. And for a team that –
Dude, you got Sterling Shepard getting like 8 targets a game.
Yeah. The famous New York Giant, Sterling Shepard.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say the development for Tez Johnson, I mean, he's kind of been a beneficiary for a lot of the receiver woes that you've seen so far. But I think for Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, it was just kind of it was just one rough game.
Yeah,
it really was, because Detroit is a great football team. And when you see all the injuries that they've had on the back end, you kind of felt good that, this was going to be the passing attack, probably going to be their focal point for Tampa Bay because of the fact that they're injured in the secondary, but they couldn't take advantage of it. And that's the thing. That's the margin of error in the NFL. And no matter how you slice it up, there's still professional guys on the other side. And a lot of it is just next man up mentality. Brian Branch, dealing with the things he had to deal with Juju Smith-Schuster last week on Sunday night. And it's the first time we had seen Detroit on the field since then. And I heard a stat earlier today that Detroit has gone, I think, 51 straight games without back-to-back losses.
That's impressive.
That's absolutely insane to think about. And it's funny that we're in this space now where Detroit is looked at as one of the better football teams in the NFL. Vanderbilt is looked at one of the best teams in college football. It's so crazy how in such a short amount of time that even in the NFL and college football, things are just not the same as what they used to be. Like the Patriots are better, but it's not the dynasty run. Now that's the Kansas City Chiefs, and you can throw Philadelphia in there as well. But just seeing where football has changed, it's long, but it's still a cycle. No matter how you slice it up, it's still a cycle that goes through team to team, year to year. And a lot of it has changed in college football because of, NIL, the transfer portal things. It's a one-year rental, whereas the NFL, you're one of 32. No matter where you are, you're one of 32. And, for as much as the Miami Dolphins have paid Tua Tagovailoa, we're hearing that, there may be some changes throughout the season at the quarterback position. But if you saw Quinn Ewers when he stepped in, it doesn't feel like they have a quarterback on that roster. No offense, Conrad.
No, I just don't know how we got from the Lions and Buccaneers to the Dolphins quarterback situation, but that's okay.
My fault.
No, it's okay.
It's more of just a overarching theme of the weekend. Just because you started in the NFL doesn't mean that your job is guaranteed. My fault. And we were talking about, Tampa Bay is in Florida. Miami's in Florida as well. Florida quarterbacks. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. He's making a lot of money to be really, really terrible right now. The other game that you had going on last night, you had the Seahawks and the Texans, which was not a very good football game, in my opinion. The score makes it look a lot more interesting than it was because the Texans finally, on about their 12th attempt in the red zone, they finally got into the end zone late in the fourth quarter to make it a one-score game and give the illusion that it was closer than it was. And I guess you have to give credit to, or maybe you could be critical of the Seahawks for not putting the game away definitively a little bit sooner. But it was a rough night for the Texans, man. It just felt like, again, just like, in the Lions and Bucks game, every time that they had an opportunity, it just felt like every 5 minutes I was watching the Seahawks, stop them on fourth down or third and short and forcing them to punt or turnover on downs. And just not a great night for the Houston Texans. And it's been a rough season for them altogether. But for the Seahawks, they get the 27-19 win. Sam Darnold, 213 yards through the air, a touchdown and an interception. Kenneth Walker goes for 66 rushing yards. Charbonnet has 49 and 2 touchdowns. JSN, 8 catches, 123 yards, 1 touchdown, as he continues to turn into one of the best receivers in the NFL there out of Ohio State. So a big night there for the Seahawks as they now move into a tie in first place at 5-2 in the NFC West alongside the Rams and the 49ers. So that's going to be an interesting race to watch here down the stretch. But yeah, just again, the Houston Texans offense is not fun to watch. There's really no other way around it. And, you talk about a guy in C.J. Stroud who is a rookie, looks so impressive, and now we've fallen this far in such a short period of time. The running game, I mean, Nick Chubb had 16 yards. Woody Marks had 15. I mean, C.J. Stroud was your leading rusher last night with 25 yards. Like, that was it's not good. And I know they've had injuries. I know Tank Dell and some of their receivers it just hasn't quite worked out for them. But Nico Collins, again, I mean, 4 catches for 27 yards. That dude should be one of the best receivers in the NFL, and they just can't get anything going for them offensively. So we'll see if DeMeco Ryans and his staff can get that thing turned around for Houston, but definitely not on the trajectory that we thought they were going to be on just a couple of years ago. So it was a big night for the Seattle Seahawks. How about the Seattle Mariners as they were taking on the Blue Jays there in Game 7 of the ALCS? And as Damian mentioned, it was looking good early. You had your 2 stars. You had Julio Rodriguez and big dumper Cal Raleigh. They hit some big home run solo shots early on to give the Mariners a 3-1 lead. You had to feel pretty good about the way that things were trending there. But unfortunately, the Toronto Blue Jays have a guy that's played a lot of postseason baseball and a lot of elimination game scenarios, and that would be Mr. George Springer, because all George Springer does is he gets up in the bottom of the 7th inning, hits a 3-run home run to put the Blue Jays up 4-3 and absolutely crush the souls of Seattle Mariners fans everywhere. And that would ultimately be the go-ahead home run that would seal the win there, as the Blue Jays bullpen would shut it down the rest of the way. So the Blue Jays, they're going back to the World Series. The Mariners just miss out 1 game away, 1 run short of making it to their first World Series ever. So they get eliminated. Toronto, they move on. They are the winners of the American League pennant, and they will take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. So just like everyone was hoping for, you now have to choose between rooting for Canada or the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Where does your heart reside, Conrad?
I really don't know. I really don't know. I'm gonna watch football. That's my opinion on this. So, but hats off to the Blue Jays. They've been the hottest team in the American League for the second half of the year, and they've carried that into the postseason. So, good to see that for them, and sad day for Mariners fans, because again, you're so close, but unfortunately, they don't hand out awards for getting close. So,
no, they don't. And getting close is a recurring theme around these parts.
It is, Damien, and I'm glad that you brought it up, because we have an opportunity yesterday. We got to hear from both Kalen DeBoer and Hugh Freeze as we turn the page to the college football conversation, and got to hear a little bit of their thoughts on the upcoming matchups this weekend. But a lot of it with Hugh Freeze is, how close is Auburn, and what is giving Hugh Freeze hope that this season can still turn around for the Auburn Tigers? We'll let you hear from him directly next on Morning JOX. 6:17 here on your Tuesday morning, a little bit of a chilly one again as we are in the 40s this morning around the Magic City. So hope you are staying warm this morning and appreciate you as always for tuning us in each and every day, making us a part of your mornings as we roll along here, and gotta still look back at yesterday a little bit as we talk about the college football conversation moving forward, but that's because we got to hear from the head coaches of both Alabama and Auburn yesterday as they look ahead to what you got coming up this weekend. Of course, Auburn, they're going to be taking on the Arkansas Razorbacks under interim head coach Bobby Petrino, and you've got Alabama taking on a very fired up Shane Beamer. If you heard any part of his press conference after the Oklahoma game where he pulled a little bit of a Brian Kelly earlier. It wasn't as bad as Brian Kelly earlier this year, getting upset about somebody asking about why his offense essentially sucks, but he going to be an interesting week for Mike Shula. It's a revenge game, right? So we'll see what they have cooking on the offensive side. Just a little bit.
It's been a while, but yeah.
It has been. I'm sure there's still a little bit of that there, right? You just want to prove them right. There's nothing wrong with that. So let's start with the Alabama Crimson Tide, and then we will get to Hugh Freeze and Auburn because that's the main event yet again on this Tuesday. So let's start off, though, with Kalen DeBoer, and we're talking about that South Carolina matchup. This is Kalen DeBoer. Just a couple of his thoughts looking ahead to that matchup with the Gamecocks this weekend, what he sees in that matchup with that South Carolina.
On the road to a great environment, South Carolina, and face a team that, I think when you look at defensively, just really stout and has a lot of dynamic playmakers, and offensively has the explosive players there to make big plays. They've shown that, and just have come up short in a few games, and so it's going to be a battle. We understand it's going to take 4 quarters of great effort like we've had.
So there you go, 4 quarters of great effort, and I think we kind of saw more of that against Tennessee. I guess you would consider that more of a 4-quarter effort from Alabama, because as we know, in the second half, things have, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, right, slowed down at times for Alabama, and it felt like the Tennessee game was closer to a 4-quarter performance, and they're going to need more of that moving forward. Now, here's the thing for South Carolina. While they haven't been super impressive on the offensive side of the ball, I think we all understand that on any given Saturday, they can have one of the most talented quarterbacks in the entire country in Lenoris Sellers. So this is Kalen DeBoer, some of his early thoughts on Lenoris Sellers and the problems that he can present the Alabama defense this weekend.
I watched a cut up this morning with the defensive staff, and there's just one play after the other, and there was more. We didn't even need to see it all because the point was very clear, and we got to make sure our guys continue to rally. We've faced running backs and guys that are tough to bring down, but this guy touches the ball every single play, and so you can get to him. That's one thing, but you also now got to get him down, and it's not going to be just one. It's got to take multiple guys, rallying, coming from different directions. He's got the speed, he's got the size, and he's just he's super strong, and he's a relentless player. He fights for every yard he can get.
So there you go. That is Kalen DeBoer, the talented quarterback there for the Gamecocks, Lenoris Sellers. And finally, we'll wrap up. This was, if you're an Alabama fan, your favorite clip of the press conference yesterday. So this was Kalen DeBoer just kind of talking about the team continuing to develop, continuing, again, it's the same mentality. 1-0, week after week, continue to put your foot on the pedal, continue to play with that chip on their shoulder. And this is Kalen DeBoer saying the one thing that I think every Alabama fan has thought and wants to hear their coach say.
I still challenge the guys, and they believe it, that the world hasn't seen Bama's best yet. And, that's really what we're striving to do.
Well, if you haven't seen their best yet, that's pretty good considering you've won 4 straight games against top 20 opposition. So that was Kalen DeBoer, a couple of his thoughts moving ahead for Alabama as they get ready for South Carolina. But now let's turn the page, Damian, to one Hugh Freeze, the head coach of the Auburn Tigers, a highly anticipated press conference from him yesterday. So we'll start off with, I think, the big takeaway for a lot of people. And this is him talking about the quarterback situation because he was asked, and he's been asked about this the last couple of weeks, but Would there be the potential for a quarterback change this week? And this is Hugh Freeze talking about the two guys that will be getting reps heading into the Arkansas game.
You have to start looking when you, as well as Jackson played in the first half of the last two games, you have to start looking at everything of, all right, why do we not have the winning ways and sitting here feeling like we do? And so, we're gonna get he and Ashton a lot of reps and kind of see where it goes from there.
So there you go. Jackson Arnold and Ashton Daniels going to be the two quarterbacks getting reps this week heading into Arkansas. And he kind of expanded on this a little bit last night on Tiger Talk. So this is the quote from Hugh Freeze when he was asked about the quarterback room. He said, quote, "I think I owe it to our fans, our team, to see if there's another spark out there if things start to sputter," end quote. So let me ask you, Damian, what you've seen from Jackson Arnold in this offense the last couple of weeks. Are you more optimistic that it's maybe moving in the right direction, or do you think that we've, at this point, we kind of know what it is, we've seen enough, and it's not good enough as it currently is, and we need to throw somebody else in there because what do you have to lose?
Yep, I'm with that line of thinking. We know from 2 years and two schools exactly what Jackson Arnold is now. Like, it's no longer a question of whether he's confident enough to throw the football. It's more of just the execution part of it. And, we gave him the benefit of the doubt at Oklahoma because half his receiving core was either hurt or out. Well, now you got all the talent you have at Auburn, and it still looks the same. So this is more of a between the ears and for Jackson Arnold because the talent is there. Usually when the play breaks down, you start to see the athletic ability. But as far as decision-making goes, yeah, you got to get something because you've opened up SEC play and you haven't scored 20 points with an offense like that, with the likes of Cam Coleman. And the crazy thing is we see Perry Thompson now. Like, he's starting to develop in the receiver that he could potentially be, and yet we still don't find a way to consistently get him the ball. So now you've got to find something to get this offense with all this explosive capabilities to execute at a high level. And if you got to throw a wrinkle in there, so be it. But also, I saw Ashton Daniels when he was at Stanford. Now, again, the collection of talent around him may be maybe a little bit different, but also we haven't seen him at Auburn. So who knows? But you got to do something to get this offense rolling on a consistent level. And yeah, it starts at the quarterback position because he's the ultimate decision maker on the football field. All the plays happen after the ball is snapped and he's in full control. So you got to do something.
Yeah, you certainly do. And again, if you're not particularly familiar, Ashton Daniels, he was a 2-year starter at Stanford. And last year, these are his stats. So he completed 62% of his passes for 1,700 yards, threw 10 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, and he added 669 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. So that's what he had to work with last year at Stanford, and we will see if he gets his opportunity at some point against Arkansas this weekend. So I did tell you, though, that Hugh Freeze had some hope and some reasons for optimism of why this thing could get turned around. So let's see. What did Hugh Freeze have to say yesterday, Damian? What is it that's giving him hope that Auburn is going to get this thing figured out?
When you look at how close we are to winning each of those games, it gives me great hope. And I think that's what you hold on to in times like these is the fact that you're really, really close. And truthfully, as a coach, you can't, I don't know that there's a lot you can do about a drop pass here and there that makes a difference or missed field goals that make a huge difference in these games. Keep encouraging and believing in those guys to make the next catch, the next throw.
Close.
I just like to think that, like he plays a game almost with like one of the other staff members. Like, are you going to say it this week? I'll work it in there somewhere. Again, it's astounding how many times we've heard. And again, a lot of coaches do this. I'm not trying to just single out Hugh Freeze, but in this situation, we are hearing the exact same thing from him every single week. And I'm not an Auburn fan, and it's annoying. So I can only imagine if you're an Auburn fan, how frustrating it is to continually hear him. Find other things to say, another way to phrase it. I understand if your message is the same, just let people hear different words come out of your mouth other than we're close. We're close.
Like, it's evident. We know. We see it. We watch it on Saturday.
Are you close, though? Because you're never winning these games. So how close really are you if you're not ever winning the games?
That's the kicker.
Like, you can – sure, the box score can make it look – Texans lost by 1 score to the Seahawks last night. Did you watch the game with your eyeballs? Did you watch the game? No. It's astounding. Honestly astounding and quite impressive that he continues to double down and talk about how close this Auburn football team is. And who knows, maybe they're close, and that will lead to a victory over Arkansas this weekend. I would think for his future job security that you would definitely want to be able to get this one in the W column. But we got to continue the conversation because we have a little bit on the future of some programs around the college football world. So we had some coaches yesterday come out, or some programs yesterday make statements supporting their head coaches as they go through times of turmoil. Has Auburn done that? And does Hugh Freeze want Auburn to do that? We'll dive into all that next as the conversation continues here on Morning JOX. Welcome back into Morning JOX. Appreciate you making us a part of your morning each and every day here on your home for college football and so much more as we continue the conversation on college football and what is going on in the coaching world because we've had so much traction, so much movement this season already in terms of coaches being fired, rumors of coaches being fired. Now we've had multiple coaches be reassured that they are at least going to get to finish the season. Now, don't know if you'll be back next year, but you're going to get to finish the season at least. And so that kind of ties into some things going on in the SEC and, of course, the Auburn Tigers, as we were just discussing and heard a little bit from Hugh Freeze. So the basis of this, if you missed it over the weekend, so Wisconsin, first off, Wisconsin's one of the worst Power 4 teams in college football this year. They're really bad. We saw them against Alabama early in the year. They've only gotten worse since that performance in Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's really, really bad. So we talk about Auburn and, Auburn hasn't scored more than, they haven't scored 20 points in SEC play yet. Wisconsin hasn't scored like 14 points in Big Ten play yet. Like they are really, really bad. And we all know Luke Fickell, the former Cincinnati coach, had them in the college football playoff not that long ago. He then headed to Wisconsin. And I'll be honest, I thought he was going to do really well. I like Luke Fickell. I thought he did a really nice job at Cincinnati. And unfortunately for him, just hasn't worked out. So they're in a disastrous situation. A lot of people are ready for him to be fired and for the program to move on and head in a different direction. So what does their athletic director do? Yesterday, he comes out and releases a statement essentially saying, hey, we're going to throw a little more money towards the football program and, see if, instead of paying Luke Fickell's buyout, let's say we throw $5 million into the pot and maybe he can go in the portal and make some magic happen next season. But essentially getting reassured that his job is safe for the time being. Now at Florida State, we all remember they looked incredible to start the season, knocked off Alabama, beat them by 2 scores, looked like Florida State. I mean, they were in the top 10. We thought that they were going to be maybe, right there with Miami for the ACC championship, talking about a playoff team. They have now lost 4 games in a row. They have lost their last 9 ACC games in a row. They have their combined record is 5 and 15 now. I believe in the last 2 seasons. It's been bad for him. Yeah, it's been bad. So what does their AD do yesterday, Damian?
He gives Mike Norvell a pat on the back.
He goes and tells Mike Norvell, hey, we'll reassess things at the end of the year, but you're good for right now. You're good. You're good. So, inevitably, if you're an Auburn fan yesterday, you were probably thinking, are we going to get one of those? Are we going to get an assessment? Remember last year, Scott Strickland, that beautiful note that he penned about Billy Napier.
Beautiful. Just wonderfully written.
And now a year later, we saw how that ultimately ended up. But last year, it was a beautiful sentiment. Scott Strickland, we're rallying behind Billy. They went on this win streak. They were a great story. And then we all fell for it and thought they were going to be a playoff contender this year, and they're 3-4. So, again, back to Auburn, though. So, yesterday, you're thinking, man, all right, maybe they're going to, John Cohen's going to release a statement for Hugh Freeze and reassure us that this is the guy moving forward, at least for the rest of the year. Or maybe he's not. So let's hear from Hugh Freeze. This is Hugh Freeze, and you'll hear at the beginning of this clip as well, you should hear the question that's asked by the reporter, and then listen to Hugh Freeze, his response when asked about those coaches getting reassurance from their ADs and if he would like to get that same reassurance from John Cohen.
Hugh, I guess today you've had some programs like Florida State and Wisconsin where their ADs have come out and talked about supporting their current head coaches. I guess, first of all, have you talked to John Cohen since Saturday night about the state of the program, what he thinks? And then I guess second question would be, what would a statement of support mean or not mean? Like, do you need that at all?
Well, that would be huge. That'd make everyone feel a lot better for sure. Yeah, I haven't talked to John. I'm gonna say John has been so supportive ever since obviously my hire, and but I don't get too much into they have a job to do, and certainly he has people he has to answer to, and I know how close we are. I know I can get this fixed, and we're too dang close. And we've got to get a little bit better play and a little bit better coaching at a few spots. And I want a chance to fix this. And, Obviously, I've totally gotten off of all social media, so I'm not sure what exactly was said in those other cases, but that's got to be reassuring to those people in there that they believe that they can get it fixed. But again, I've trusted John since I've been here to do the right things, and he's got to do, what he feels is best for this program, of course. And I think it's us. I think we fit Auburn. I think we fit the Auburn culture. I think the culture in the building has changed. I think the talent level has changed. And unfortunately, we just hadn't gotten over the hump in a very difficult stretch of games. But I believe that's coming very, very soon.
So inevitably, you hear that from Hugh Freeze yesterday, and you go, okay, well, surely in the last, how long has it been since his press conference? 17 hours? Surely in the last 17 hours, John Cohen released a statement reassuring Hugh Freeze and his staff, right?
I've searched all over, and I hadn't seen anything.
Hadn't seen one either.
Nope.
Hadn't seen one either. So that will be very interesting to see whether it's today or maybe later in the week if you do get a statement of that kind. Because, look, I'll just say it like this. You have a head coach who's saying, I would really appreciate that. And if you don't get that, I think that tells you exactly where John Cohen's head at. Not saying that's right or wrong. It's just, you have a coach that's publicly letting you know, yeah, I would like to get some reassurance. It'd be nice to know that I'm not coaching for my job technically this week against Arkansas, but I think we all know that you kind of are to a certain degree, right? But it feels like, kind of felt like that last week, and you're still here. So it's just going to be very, very interesting to see how this thing ultimately progresses. But yeah, to hear Hugh Freeze yesterday, and you heard it, and I'll give him credit, right? He is right. Like, the culture has changed, the talent level has improved, but again, I think it almost makes it more frustrating at this point. Is why are you getting Brian Harsin results with Hugh Freeze's roster, right? What's the point of going and getting boosters to spend all this money? You're spending $20 million plus on your roster this year, and you're getting the same results that Brian Harsin was in his regime. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And again, yeah, credit where credit's due. He's done a great job recruiting. He's done a great job bringing in some talented guys in the portal. I think we all know the reality is he hasn't hit on a quarterback, and that's held him back. But again, at a certain point, you can't be close anymore. You can't get the benefit of the doubt of, I think we're the right people to fix it. And I'm sure he does believe that they're the right people to fix it. But what have you put on tape the last 3 years that gives the fan base faith to believe in that?
Yep. And it's the same conversation we've had essentially since they've started this losing streak. It's, okay, well, we can't blame it on talent anymore. And the first couple seasons, essentially the first season is, okay, he's playing with Harsin players. Cool. But in this new age of college football with NIL and the transfer portal, you're able to flip rosters essentially immediately. Like, as soon as you get there, you can find a way to flip them. And yes, he's done a great job at recruiting. He really has. And getting the likes of the Cam Colemans, the DeMarcus Riddicks, and even some of the guys in the transfer portal with Eric Singleton Jr. And if you're Eric Singleton, you're probably looking at, why did I leave Georgia Tech? I could be in the conversation of a college football playoff right now.
Yeah.
He's sitting at the top in the ACC. And again, he's been able to collect the talent that's there, which is amazing. But like you said, if you're getting the Brian Harsin results of, okay, well, we're not beating the Alabamas, we're not beating the Georgias, we're not beating the Texas A&Ms of the world, you're still not escaping the middle of the pack. So it is frustrating if you're an Auburn fan of the head coach keep telling us we're so close, but a lot of it falls on his shoulders of, okay, well, get us over the hump. We got you. We brought you here for a reason. And again, it goes to the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they're doing everything you possibly can. They're doing everything. You completely made Missouri one-dimensional and said, hey, Bo Prabula, you're going to have to throw it over our heads in order to beat us, because we're not going to let Ahmad Hardy and Roberts in the backfield beat us running the football.
You held them to a third of their season average in rushing yards.
That's winning football.
Absolutely.
That is winning football defensively. But offensively, it's just, okay, you may look good a drive. And then after that, it's, okay, what is this offense going to do? I don't know how you can get out of the uncomfortable zone for Auburn right now until you see it with your own two eyes. I understand there's hope because, yeah, you're competing against the top talent, but you're still losing to them. And that's the biggest issue. It's not that, okay, it's something different if you squeak by with a 1-point victory. Hey, you got to win. But to continuously have this conversation of, oh, we're right there, but the talent around is telling you that, yeah, we can get this thing righted if we can, but you haven't done it yet. So it's hard to just put all your chips behind them and say they're going to get it right because you haven't done it yet. Why should we believe you now?
Well, maybe this weekend will be different. Maybe Ashton Daniels will get an opportunity, and maybe that'll be the spark the offense has been looking for. Or, I mean, let's be honest, right? If there was any game, I guess besides the Mercer game, but that's the second to last game of the year, so that not really a time to fix things then. But if there's an opportunity for you to get right a little bit, you're playing an Arkansas team that's really, really bad defensively. Really, really bad. Now, they're great offensively, and they're going to put some points on you. So this is your opportunity to go out there and find something that works and find a way to get over that 20-point hurdle, because I feel pretty confident that you're going to have to score at least 20 to beat Arkansas.
But doesn't that give you like a false sense of hope? Because, okay, yeah, we finally put over 20 points, but it's also the worst defense in the league.
Oh, that's a fair point. And I would also just have the thought of, okay, I don't think your goal needs to be to score more than 20. It needs to be to score more than 30 because I could very easily. I mean, we just watched them score 42 on Texas A&M, and Texas A&M's defense. I mean, Auburn's is really good, but so is A&M's. Like they're pretty even, I would say, in a lot of ways. So we'll see. A lot left to answer, and a big opportunity this weekend to get back to 500, get to 4-4, get your first SEC win, and try to change the narrative of what's going down on the Plains right now. Because based on what I'm seeing on the Courtesy GMC text line, a lot of people not super optimistic that that's going to happen. So we turn the conversation over to you. Your thoughts on Auburn, Hugh Freeze, and more as we roll along here on JOX. Oh, the final few moments here of Morning Jocks on your Tuesday morning. Connor and Damian with you until 7 o'clock when we hand you off to McElroy and Kublick in the morning as they will continue the college football conversation until 10 o'clock. Then, of course, from 10 to 2, three-man front, Pat Landrum, myself, and Molly. The guy's going to be out at Social Taco today, so go make sure you see them in Homewood for lunch. And then, of course, Paul Feinbaum with you from 2 until 6. So we spent some time talking about Alabama, Auburn, what we got to hear from the coaches yesterday. Spent some time talking about the coaching carousel and coaches getting reassurance during their struggles at Wisconsin and Florida State. And now Auburn in that same boat as we are waiting to see if John Cohen will release a statement reassuring Hugh Freeze. And if you missed us playing the audio last segment, Hugh Freeze yesterday saying that would be huge. And he would certainly like to see John Cohen come out and support him and reassure his staff that they are going to get an opportunity to fix this thing there at Auburn because, as we know, things are pretty volatile right now at times. All right, we have Nick on the Courtesy GMC text line who chimes in this morning and says, there are truly 3 games that I've watched under Hugh Freeze's tenure at Auburn that they should have lost, and these are the following. The LSU game in 2023, they should have lost to Georgia and Alabama in 2024, and this year they should be 7-0. The rest of the games that I've seen under Hugh Freeze, Auburn had no business losing, and that's why the fans are fed up. Appreciate you chiming in this morning, Nick. I'll be honest, I can't go back through and remember every Auburn loss and if they should have actually lost that game or not, but there are a lot of games that you shouldn't have lost. I know that for sure.
That is 100% fact.
Now, I don't know if, I mean, based on that record, I mean, they would have been, 10 wins or better every single season that Hugh Freeze was there. So, I mean, if that's what you saw, that's what you saw. I'd have to go back and recount every single loss. Joseph chimes in. He says, if Auburn loses to Arkansas, he needs to be fired. Yeah, I think a lot of people would, that would be the final straw. Be lost to Arkansas.
It depends on how it happens. What if they're close again?
They've been close for 3 years, Damien.
Oh, boy.
Let's see. See this text that comes in. It says, guys, come on. They're so close. Yeah,
they are.
They are close to a lot of things right now. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, this text coming in and says, so in my opinion, when Auburn intercepted the ball with 17 seconds left against Missouri, Freeze didn't want to win. He settled. Why not take advantage of the Jordan-Hare crowd and throw one big deep ball and maybe, just maybe, Auburn pulls off another miracle at Jordan-Hare? Seems like he laid down at the end of the game. Why wasn't it even a thought of let's not try, or I guess he's essentially saying, why did they just settle for going to overtime and not try to win the game in regulation? And I understand the sentiment, right? Like, you had some opportunities in that game. You had completed some deep balls to Cam Coleman. You had some other missed opportunities where you felt like maybe that was something you could take advantage of. But I do also understand in that moment feeling like you have the momentum and going into overtime that would carry over with you. And it didn't, but I can understand that perspective as well from a coach.
Yeah, and you also had 2 timeouts. So even if you may sneak a run in there on first down, depending on how far it gets, call a timeout. You may not be in Hail Mary range, but you still could throw a deep enough pass to kind of get you somewhere around field goal range. And maybe yeah, there's a lot of things that could go wrong too, because again, you saw the last play of overtime where he gets sacked, and there's just hindsight's always 20/20. But I initially thought when it happened, okay, you got an interception. 18 seconds left, 2 timeouts. Try a chunk play just to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. Danny from Coleman chimes in on the GMC text line, says, if Auburn loses to Arkansas, we have to wonder if they'll make a bowl game, and it's starting to seem like he's losing the locker room. Yeah, I lost to Arkansas, and, I mean, again, at that point, I think a lot of people probably don't feel great about Vanderbilt, probably don't feel great about Alabama right now. I mean,
you got Kentucky in there. And it's crazy that that's a coin flip.
I mean, you absolutely should win that game, but
should.
Yeah, I don't even need to say it. Let's see. Dave from Winfield chimes in. He says, a statement of support is almost always the kiss of death. If the coach wasn't already on the way out, there wouldn't need to be a conversation about a statement of support. Oh, I mean, if when we're in that territory in general, like things are not going well when you need it. I think we all understand that. And yeah, I'm not saying that I don't think Florida State or Wisconsin are in great spots either. It's just, they at least know that they're going to have a job for the next few months. Let's see. James from Illinois chimes in. He says, my take on Hugh Freeze, honestly, is laughable. He's never deserved the Auburn job based on his past conduct. The real blame isn't on him, though. It's on John Cohen, who hired him. He's the one who created the mess by giving him a job that he didn't earn. Why do these ADs all get passes on the bad decisions? Appreciate you chiming in there this morning, James. Let's see. This is a great text. It says, why would Hugh Freeze mention hope yesterday? Did he not watch this week's SEC short?
Oh, man.
With the Angel of Hope. Yeah, that was good. They do good work there.
They do.
They do good work. Let's see. This text rolls in. It says, CLOSE is an acronym for constantly losing, obviously suspect execution. Okay. Close. I know what you're going for there. Let's see. This text rolls in from Bammer Abroad. Says maybe Hugh Freeze needs to look at stop looking at the quarterback situation and take a look in the mirror to realize what's wrong with the program. And someone says, wasn't Deuce Knight QB2 at the start of the season? I think it was always Ashton Daniels, wasn't it?
Yeah.
From what I remember. So we'll see. Maybe he gets a chance this weekend, but we're going to be back tomorrow at 6 a.m. McElroy and Kublick in the morning. They are next.